Lieutenant Kate Mason floated in the research lab on Europa Station, watching ice crystals melt under her microscope. The blue glow from the sample cast shadows across her face as she adjusted the focus knobs. With careful hands, she moved to the next sample, then stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. Something was embedded in the ice. Something that should not be there. Kate called over to her research partner. "We have something weird in sample E42. Come look at this." She stepped back as Olivia joined her at the station. The object was smaller than a coin, but perfectly smooth with a surface that seemed to shift colors as they watched it. "This is not natural formation," said Kate. "We need to extract it." The two scientists worked in silence, moving the strange object from its icy prison into a containment field. Once free from the ice, the object began to glow faintly, pulsing with soft blue light. "Should we report this?" asked Olivia, her eyes never leaving the artifact. Kate hesitated, then shook her head. "Not yet. Let me run some tests first." Hours passed as Kate subjected the object to various scans. None of the results made sense. The artifact was giving off energy readings that matched no known element or compound. Its composition defied analysis, seeming to exist partially outside normal space. When Kate touched the container housing the artifact, a jolt ran up her arm. The small object suddenly projected a display into the air above it. A star map materialized, showing constellations. Kate recognized, then zooming outward to reveal sections of space no human had ever mapped. Kate stared at the projection, feeling a chill run down her spine. "This is first contact," she whispered. 3 decks above the research lab communications officer, Penny Wu, noticed something strange happening to the quantum communications array. The system showed brief interruptions lasting exactly 37 seconds before returning to normal. She ran diagnostics, finding nothing wrong with the equipment, yet the pattern continued repeating across all channels. Station Commander Kelly Davis was not happy about being woken 4 hours before her shift. "Something better be on fire." "Wu," she grumbled as she entered the communications center. "Not on fire, Commander, but definitely not normal." Wu pulled up the logs on the main screen. "See these interruptions? They are happening across all 17 human colonies at exactly the same time." Davis frowned. "What could cause that?" "Nothing we know of," replied Wu. "Nothing natural anyway." Across human space, similar reports were flooding in. Communications networks experiencing the same pattern of disruptions. Starships reported navigation systems briefly going offline, then returning to normal, with no explanation. And Earth Admiral Diane Morgan sat in the emergency council chamber listening to reports with growing concern. The disruptions were getting stronger and more frequent with each occurrence. She had seen this pattern before 15 years earlier before the attack on New Terra Colony. "We need to assume this is hostile action," she told the gathered military leaders. "I want all defense fleets on high alert, and I want to know what is causing these disruptions." As the meeting disbanded, her private communicator buzzed a message from Europa Station. "Scientists have discovered an unknown artifact in ice samples. Request immediate classification and containment protocols." Morgan stared at the message, her mind racing back to the war. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. She typed a response: "Artifact to be transferred to military custody immediately. Send Lieutenant Mason with the object aboard the next transport to Earth. Classify all findings. Back on Europa." Kate watched as the artifact continued, projecting its star map. The display had changed, now showing what appeared to be a countdown sequence in an alien numerical system. Olivia had been working to decipher it. "If my calculations are correct, Kate, this is counting down to something that will happen in 7 days." Before Kate could respond, station security entered the lab. "Lieutenant Mason, orders from Earth Command. You and the artifact are to board the next transport to Earth in 3 hours. Pack whatever you need. Admiral Morgan wants to see you personally." Kate looked at Olivia, then back at the artifact. Its pulsing had grown stronger, matching the rhythm of the communications disruptions across human space. Whatever this object was, it was trying to tell them something, and Kate feared they might not have 7 days to figure out what. As her shuttle departed Europa Station, Kate looked out at the vastness of space, wondering what forces they had disturbed. The artifact sat secured in its container, still counting down, still pulsing with alien energy. What waited at the end of that countdown? And why had it been buried in the ice of Europa for what must have been thousands of years? Little did she know that across the darkness between stars, something ancient was stirring, something that had been watching humanity since they first stepped beyond their solar system, and it had judged their expansion into the cosmos as a threat that could no longer be ignored. The artifact grew warmer in its container as if, responding to these distant thoughts, Kate placed her hand on the surface, feeling connection to something vast and unknowable. Humanity stood at the threshold of a discovery that would change everything. The countdown continued, relentlessly marking the hours until first contact, and deep in uncharted space beyond the edge of human territory. Sentinels that had slept for millennia began to awaken, their crystalline forms catching the light of distant suns as they oriented themselves toward Earth. The message had been found. The warning had been delivered. Now they would see if humans were wise enough to heed it. The military transport ship Defiant Shadow cut through space like a blade. Kate sat in her assigned quarters, staring at the artifact that had not left her possession since Europa. The countdown continued, now showing just under 6 days remaining. Admiral Morgan had ordered her directly to Earth, but new orders had come mid-journey. They were now headed to coordinates at the edge of human space. A knock at her door broke her concentration. "Enter," she called. Weapons Specialist Grace Turner stepped into the room, her tall frame taking up much of the doorway. "Admiral wants you on the bridge." "We found something." Kate secured the artifact in its container and followed Grace through the narrow corridors of the military vessel. The bridge was a hive of activity when they arrived. Admiral Morgan stood before the main display, her face grim. Lieutenant Mason, good timing, said. Morgan gesturing to the screen. "Look at this." The display showed debris floating in space, the remains of a ship. Kate realized. The hull markings were human but partially destroyed. "The Horizon Explorer," said Morgan, "an unauthorized research vessel that went dark 3 months ago. We just found her." "What happened?" asked Kate, moving closer to the screen. "That is what I want your science team to find out," replied Morgan. "Something destroyed this ship from the inside out. According to the black box data, they were studying spatial anomalies in this sector. Against direct orders, I might add." Kate felt a chill when she heard the word spatial anomalies. The artifact in her quarters had been getting warmer since they entered this region of space, as if responding to something. "Admiral, permission to take a team aboard?" asked Grace, already checking her weapons. Morgan nodded. "Take Mason with you. She might spot something our regular teams would miss, and Grace, this is investigation only. No heroics." The boarding team suited up in the launch bay. 6 members in total, including Kate and Grace. They crossed to the derelict ship. In silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Kate had brought the artifact, feeling compelled to keep it with her. The Horizon Explorer was dark and cold. Emergency lighting cast red shadows across twisted metal corridors. The team moved carefully, checking each section. Grace in the lead, Kate close behind. "The ship looks like it was torn apart," said one of the security officers. "But from the inside, there are no external weapon signatures." They reached what remained of the bridge. The captain still strapped to her chair, frozen in the vacuum of space, her expression locked in terror. Kate moved to the ship's logs. Most were corrupted, but she managed to recover fragments. "Listen to this," she said, playing the final log. Entry Captain Susan Ford recording. "We have been monitoring the anomalies for weeks now. The readings suggest some kind of spatial thinning between dimensions. My science officer believes we may have discovered a naturally occurring gateway to another realm. We are preparing to send probes when wait." "What is that?" "Something is coming through. The anomaly is growing. Shadows moving between stars. They are inside the ship. How can they move through solid matter?" All hands abandon. The recording ended in static. Kate felt the artifact vibrating against her side as if responding to the captain's words. She pulled it out, showing it to Grace. "Look at this." The artifact was now projecting a new image. Not the star map, but what appeared to be translucent crystalline figures moving through. Solid objects, just as Captain Ford had described. "We need to get this information back to the Admiral," said Grace. As they turned to leave, the ship began to vibrate. Something was happening. Kate felt a strange pressure in her ears, as if the air itself was being compressed. "Move now," shouted Grace, pushing the team toward the airlock. They barely made it back to their shuttle when a section of the Horizon Explorer seemed to fold in on itself. Space rippled around the derelict ship as though reality itself was tearing. The team watched in horror as crystalline forms briefly appeared in the tear, then vanished, taking parts of the ship with them back aboard the Defiant Shadow. Admiral Morgan reviewed their footage, her expression grave. "Something came through that tear in space," she said. "And something else is coming through the tears. Our FTL drives create xenolinguist." Samantha Wells had been studying the artifact's projections. Since Morgan brought the team together, she had made progress in understanding the energy patterns. "I believe these are warnings," she explained, pointing to symbols appearing in the holographic display. "They repeat in patterns consistent with language structure. These beings, whatever they are, seem to exist in a dimension that overlaps with ours. Our faster-than-light technology tears into their realm." Morgan paced the conference room. "How many FTL jumps have human ships made in the past century?" "Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands," corrected Samantha. "And each one, according to this data, creates a tear in their world." Kate watched the artifact as it projected images of crystal entities moving between stars. Their forms beautiful but alien. "They are watching us," she said suddenly, understanding. "They have been since we first developed FTL travel. They see our expansion as a threat." The ship shuddered as alarms blared throughout the vessel bridge. To Admiral Morgan came the urgent call. "Sensors detect spatial anomalies forming all around us," Morgan led the team back to the bridge. The main screen showed ripples in space surrounding the Defiant Shadow. The FTL drive was reporting unexpected energy buildup. "Shut down the drive," ordered Morgan. "Emergency protocols." Too late. Engineering reported the I drive is activating on its own. The ship lurched forward as space seemed to fold around them. For a brief moment, Kate saw through a tear in reality into another dimension. A vast crystalline landscape filled with beings of light and geometry. Their realm beautiful and alien. Then several of the entities moved toward the tear, slipping through before it closed. The lights on the Defiant Shadow flickered and died. Emergency power activated, bathing the bridge in red. The entities had entered their ship. Kate felt the artifact burning against her skin. She pulled it out, watching as it glowed brighter than ever. The crystalline beings moved through the ship, passing through walls and floors, examining the technology. Their forms transparent but visible. "They are heading for the engine room," reported Grace, tracking their movement on internal sensors. Kate made a decision without thinking. She ran toward the engine room. The artifact clutched in her hand. Admiral Morgan called after her, but she did not stop. Something told her this was their only chance. The engine room was filled with the glow of the entities. They surrounded the FTL drive core, their forms pulsating with energy. Kate stepped forward, holding out the artifact. The entities immediately turned toward her, their attention shifting from the drive to the small object in her hands. They surrounded her, and the artifact began to project directly into her mind. Images flooded her consciousness. Civilizations rising and falling, worlds torn apart by spatial rifts, species that developed technology similar to human FTL drives, and always the crystalline entities appearing to end those civilizations, not out of malice, but survival. Kate understood now. The artifact was a warning, boy left by a previous species, their final act before extinction. A message to whoever found it. Do not tear the fabric between worlds. The entities communicated directly into her mind through the artifact. They had allowed humans 2 major tiers in their realm. The next would be considered an act of war, and they would respond by eliminating the threat humanity posed to their existence. As the entities withdrew, leaving the ship intact, Kate fell to her knees, her mind overwhelmed with the Knowledge they had shared. They had 2 days left to convince humanity to abandon the technology that had built their interstellar civilization, or face extinction. The defiant shadow raced back toward Earth, its conventional engines pushed beyond safety limits. FTL travel was now forbidden by Admiral Morgan after Kate's encounter with the crystalline entities. The crew worked in tense silence, knowing what was at stake. Kate sat in the medical bay as doctors monitored her brain activity. The direct communication with the alien beings had left traces in her neural pathways, her mind still processing information that no human was meant to understand. They call themselves the Watchers, she explained to Admiral Morgan, who sat beside her bed. They exist in a dimension that overlays our own. Think of our space and theirs as 2 pages in a book. Our FTL drives burn holes through the pages, damaging their realm, and they want us to stop using FTL technology, asked Morgan. Her face lined with concern. Kate nodded. Our expansion has created 2 major tiers already. They have determined that a 3rd will require intervention. The Admiral stood looking out at the stars. To abandon FTL would mean the end of human interstellar civilization. We would be confined to a single solar system, cut off from our colonies. Millions would die as supply lines failed. I know, replied Kate. But the alternative is extinction. While the defiant shadow traveled toward Earth, the situation was growing more complicated. Intelligence Officer Melissa Wright had discovered troubling information. Accessing historical archives, she found evidence of systematic data breaches. Someone or something had been studying humanity's technological development, focusing specifically on FTL research. This started years ago, she told Morgan. Whatever these entities are, they've been watching us for decades, learning our weaknesses. Morgan received another disturbing report. Communications Officer Penny Wu had detected unauthorized transmissions from somewhere within the ship. I think we have a spy, Admiral Wu said. Or worse, someone who sees these entities as an opportunity. Morgan ordered a ship-wide security sweep. The transmissions were traced to a maintenance bay where they found communications specialist Tina Reed sending encrypted messages to an unknown destination. Security took her into custody, but she remained silent, refusing to explain her actions. Meanwhile, Samantha continued studying the artifact, working with Kate to translate more of the messages embedded in its energy patterns. This is not just a warning, she said excitedly. It's also a key. The entities left this for us to find a chance to change course before it's too late. How? Asked Kate. We can't just abandon FTL travel. Humanity would collapse. Samantha pointed to patterns appearing in the holographic display. These mathematical sequences, they show alternatives, ways to travel without tearing space. Kate felt hope for the first time since finding the artifact. If we could develop new technology based on these principles. The ship shuddered as alarms sounded throughout the vessel bridge to Admiral Morgan. Urgent. Message from Earth Fleet Command. 17 unidentified objects have appeared near Neptune. They match no known configuration. On the bridge, the main screen showed clusters of crystalline structures moving in formation. They were not ships in the conventional sense, but organized groups of the entities Kate had encountered. Their crystalline bodies reflecting sunlight as they moved toward Earth. They are not attacking, reported the tactical officer. They appear to be taking positions around major military installations. Kate watched the display, feeling the artifact grow warm against her skin. They are waiting, she said. They want to see what we will do. Admiral Morgan called an emergency meeting of her senior staff. We need to present this information to Earth Command as soon as we arrive. She turned to Kate. Can you communicate with them? Tell them we need time. Kate held the artifact, focusing her thoughts as Samantha had taught her, trying to reach across the dimensional barrier. Artifact glowed, responding to her effort. A message formed in her mind, simple but clear. Observe, decide. One more violation ends this dialogue permanently. The defiant shadow was 2 hours from Earth when they detected multiple ships launching from a hidden base in the asteroid belt. Unregistered vessels reported. Tactical. They are on an intercept course with the crystalline formations near Neptune. Morgan recognized the ship configurations. Those belong to Vega Corporation, the military contractor Melissa Wright pulled up information on her console. Nicole Vega, CEO of Vega Corporation. Former military dishonorably discharged for illegal weapons development. She has been vocal about human superiority in space, believes first contact scenarios should be handled with military force. We need to warn them, said Kate. If they attack the entities, too late. The unregistered ships had launched weapons toward the crystalline formation near Neptune. The scanners showed unusual energy signatures. Those are prototype weapons based on dimensional technology, said Grace, reviewing the data. They are trying to force the entities back to their dimension. They watched in horror as the weapons struck the crystalline formation, creating a massive tear in space. Several of the entities were pulled back through the rift. The tear sealed itself, but the damage was done. The remaining entities began emitting energy pulses. Space itself seemed to warp around them. Stars visible through the bridge viewports appeared, to bend and shift. They are responding, said Kate, feeling panic rise in her chest. This is it. The third strike. Morgan made a decision. Lieutenant Mason, get back in contact with them. Tell them this attack was not authorized by Earth Command. Samantha, help her. Grace, prepare a team. We are going to intercept Vega's command ship. Kate focused on the artifact, feeling its energy merge with her consciousness. The neural pathways the doctors had discovered were activating, allowing her to form a direct link. The entities were angry, their thoughts chaotic and threatening, but she pushed through, projecting calming energy, showing them images of humanity's diversity, its potential for peace, its willingness to learn and change. Please, she projected, we need time. Not all humans agree with this attack. Give us a chance to stop this. The warping of space slowed but did not stop completely. The entities were waiting, watching. On the bridge, Admiral Morgan contacted Earth Command, explaining the situation. In urgent terms, the response was immediate. All FTL drives were to be shut down planet-wide. No ship was to engage the entities. The Defiant Shadow changed course to intercept Vega's fleet. Grace prepared a boarding team while Samantha worked with Kate. To maintain contact with the entities, we have one chance, said Morgan, her face grim. If we can stop Vega from launching another attack, convince the entities we want peace. Maybe, just maybe, humanity has a future. As they approached Vega's command ship, they saw more weapons being prepared. The dimensional disruptors powered up, ready to tear another hole between realms. Kate felt the artifact merge more deeply with her consciousness, her mind expanding beyond human limitations. She could sense the entities now feel their ancient presence, their world beautiful and complex. They had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Some had listened to warnings and evolved, others had not and perished. Humanity stood on that threshold. The next few hours would determine which path they would take. Kate knew what she had to do. The artifact had been preparing her for this moment since she first touched it. Admiral, she said quietly, I know how to stop this, but you need to get me aboard. Vega's ship. Morgan looked at her, seeing something new in the lieutenant's eyes, something not entirely human anymore. What are you planning? Mason. Kate smiled sadly. I am going to show them what happens when you ignore humanity's final warning. The Defiant Shadow approached Vega's command ship using stealth technology to avoid detection. Admiral Morgan had authorized a dangerous mission. Kate, along with Grace and a small tactical team, would board the vessel, disable the dimensional weapons, and capture Nicole Vega before she could launch another attack. Kate felt the artifact pulsing against her skin. It had changed, becoming less a separate object and more an extension of herself. Her neural patterns had continued to alter, allowing deeper connection with the crystalline entities. She could sense their presence throughout nearby space, their patience wearing thin. The boarding team prepared in the launch bay, checking weapons and equipment. This was not a standard military operation. This was a desperate attempt to save humanity from extinction. Earth Command has authorized us to use whatever force necessary, said Grace to her team. Our goal is to secure the dimensional weapons and neutralize any resistance. We are authorized for lethal force but prefer captives. Anyone with information about these weapons could be valuable. Kate checked the small pistol she had been issued. though she doubted she would need it. The artifact would be her true weapon in this confrontation. Grace looked at Kate with concern. "You sure you're up for this, Lieutenant? You look different," finished Kate with a small smile. "I am different, Grace, but I am still me. I am still fighting for humanity." The team boarded the stealth shuttle and launched toward Vega's command ship. The vessel was massive, a converted mining platform bristling with weapons, both conventional and the new dimensional disruptors. The shuttle approached, using the larger ship's blind spots, avoiding detection. They docked at an emergency, airlock hacking the security systems to gain entry. The team moved through the ship encountering minimal resistance. Most of the crew were focused on preparing for another attack against the entities. According to the ship's schematics, the weapons control center is 2 levels down, said Grace, checking her tactical display. The dimensional disruptors are being controlled from there. They moved quietly through the corridors, disabling security systems as they went. Kate felt a strange resonance. From ahead, the artifact's energy responding to something on the ship. "There is another artifact here," she whispered to Grace. "They have been studying it, trying to weaponize it." The team reached the weapons control center, finding it heavily guarded. Grace signaled for silence, then deployed stun grenades. The explosions disoriented the guards, allowing the team to move in and subdue them with minimal violence. Inside, they found scientists working frantically at control panels. A countdown displayed. On the main screen showed 15 minutes until the next weapons launch. Kate felt sick as she realized the scale of what Vega was planning. Not just another attack on the Neptune cluster, but simultaneous strikes against all 17 crystalline formations. Grace moved quickly, securing the room and ordering her team to disable the launch sequence. Kate searched for the control systems, finding terminals connected to what appeared to be a modified version of her artifact. Its surface cracked and damaged as they had forced its power beyond safe limits. "This is wrong," said a voice behind them. Kate turned to see Nicole Vega entering the control room, flanked by security forces. "They are the invaders, not us. We have every right to defend ourselves." Grace raised her weapon. "Stay where you are. Vega, Earth Command has ordered all attacks ceased. Your actions are unauthorized and threaten all of humanity." Vega laughed. "You think these creatures want peace? They are studying us, learning our weaknesses. I have seen the data. They have destroyed dozens of civilizations before us. They will not stop until we are extinct unless we strike first." Her guards raised their weapons. A standoff. Kate felt the artifact responding to her emotions, its energy building. She stepped forward. "You are wrong," she said to Vega. "I have communicated with them. They destroy only those who refuse to evolve, those who continue to damage their realm. They gave us warnings. We ignored them." The room grew cold as space itself seemed to bend. Light distorted around Kate, the artifact now glowing visibly through her uniform. She had not planned this, but the connection was happening. The entities were using her as a conduit. The air shimmered as translucent crystalline forms appeared. In the control room, passing through solid walls, the guards fired their weapons, but the bullets passed through the entities harmlessly. Grace signaled her team to hold their fire. Vega backed away, her face showing fear for the first time. "These things are monsters," she shouted. "They will destroy us all." One of the entities moved toward the damaged artifact on Vega's console, its form shimmering with energy. The damaged artifact cracked further, then shattered. The countdown displays went dark as the weapon systems failed. Kate felt her consciousness expanding as the entities communicated through her. They showed her images of their realm, beautiful crystalline landscapes spanning dimensions beyond human comprehension. They showed her the damage caused by human FTL drives, tears in the fabric of their reality that caused suffering to countless beings. They also showed her something unexpected, the mathematical principles behind their own method of traveling between stars, a way to move through space without tearing the dimensional barriers, a technology that would allow humanity to maintain its interstellar civilization without causing harm. Kate spoke, but her voice carried strange harmonics, not entirely human anymore. "They are offering us a choice," she said. "The entities watching from Neptune and throughout our system are the Council of Watchers. They have observed thousands of species across billions of years. Those who adapt survive. Those who refuse perish. The crystalline entities surrounded Vega, their forms shifting colors. She stood paralyzed with fear as they examined her. They judge us by our choices, continued. Kate. And you have chosen poorly. Admiral Morgan had been monitoring the situation from the defiant shadow. She opened a channel to the weapons control room. Lieutenant Mason, report. Kate responded, still connected to the entities. Admiral, we have control of the weapons. They have been disabled. But there is more. The entities are offering us technology, an alternative to our FTL drives. A way to continue our expansion without harming their realm. Can we trust them? Asked Morgan. Kate smiled, feeling the truth of the entity's thoughts. They could have destroyed us at any time. They chose not to. They want balance, not conquest. Vega lunged, suddenly breaking free from her guards. She reached for an emergency control panel. Override codes, activating secondary weapons. Array. Kate moved without thinking. The artifact now fully merged with her consciousness. She reached out, both physically and mentally connecting with Vega. The contact sent a surge of energy through them both. Vega collapsed unconscious. But the damage was done. Secondary systems had activated. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship. System overload, reported one of the scientists looking at monitors. The dimensional core is destabilizing. It's going to create a massive tear. How long? Asked Grace. 3 minutes, maybe less. The scientist looked terrified. We need to evacuate. Grace ordered her team to begin evacuation procedures. Kate remained still, communicating with the entities. She felt their concern. This tear would be catastrophic, not just for their realm, but for human space as well. The entities surrounded Kate, their crystalline forms pulsing with energy. She understood what they were proposing. Admiral Morgan, she said over the comm, we can't stop the tear, but the entities have a solution. They can contain it, minimize the damage. But they need a human consciousness to help bridge the dimensional gap. Someone who understands both realms. Kate's voice was calm, despite the implications of what she was suggesting. Morgan understood immediately. Mason, don't you dare, it's already happening. Admiral Kate looked at her hands, seeing the crystalline patterns forming under her skin. The artifact had prepared her for this. The neural changes had been leading to this moment. I can help them seal the tear from both sides. Grace grabbed her arm. Lieutenant, we need to go. Kate shook her head. The entities will protect me. I will survive, but I will be changed. I will serve as an ambassador. A bridge between our worlds. The ship shuddered as energy built in its core. The tear beginning to form. Go, ordered Kate. I will remain with them. Grace hesitated, then nodded. Understanding the sacrifice, evacuate, she ordered her team immediately. As they ran for the shuttle, Kate turned toward the growing dimensional rift. The entities surrounded her, their forms merging with hers, the artifact fully integrated into her being. She stepped toward the tier, feeling no fear, only purpose. The last thing Grace saw as the shuttle pulled away was Kate standing at the center of a swirl of crystalline light, her form shifting, becoming something new, something that existed in two realms simultaneously. Then the tear closed, the entities vanished, and Kate was gone. 3 months had passed since the confrontation aboard Vega's command ship. 3 months since Lieutenant Kate Mason had sacrificed herself to contain the dimensional tier. Earth and its colonies existed in an uneasy peace with the crystalline entities. The 17 formations remained in position around key human installations, silent observers. Admiral Diane Morgan stood before the United Earth Council presenting her final report. The chamber was filled with military and civilian leaders, all aware that the future of humanity hung in the balance. The crystalline entities known as the Watchers have maintained their positions. She explained. Their presence is a reminder of the damage our FTL technology has caused to their realm. They have not made any aggressive moves, but neither have they withdrawn. Director Linda Parker from Colonial Affairs raised her hand. Admiral, Is it true that all FTL travel has been suspended? How are our outer colonies surviving? Morgan nodded. The transition has been difficult. Supply shortages have occurred, but we are managing conventional propulsion for essential deliveries. The real question is, how do we move forward? Dr. Heather Ross, chief scientist for the fleet, stood to address the council. Since Lieutenant Mason's encounter, we have been studying the mathematical principles she transmitted before her disappearance. The entities offered us an alternative to our current FTL technology, a way to travel between stars without tearing their dimensional realm. What progress have you made? Asked Council President Fiona Clark. Ross activated a holographic display showing complex equations. We have developed a theoretical model, she explained. Instead of forcing space to fold around our ships, creating tiers between dimensions, this new drive would create stable tunnels, temporary wormholes that do not damage the Watcher's realm. How soon could this technology be implemented? Asked. Morgan. Ross looked uncomfortable. Years at minimum to build working prototypes. Decades to retrofit our entire fleet. We simply don't have the complete understanding of the physics involved. The council chamber doors opened, interrupting the presentation. A figure entered, moving with strange, fluid grace. Everyone fell, silent, staring at the newcomer, Kate Mason, or what had once been Kate Mason. Her form appeared human at first glance, but shifted subtly, as if existing partially in another dimension. Crystalline patterns flowed beneath her skin. Her eyes held depths no human eyes should have. Admiral Morgan was the first to recover Lieutenant Mason. She said softly, "We believed you lost." Kate smiled, a gesture both familiar and alien. "I was transformed, not lost. Admiral, the Watchers have sent me to help humanity evolve." The council erupted in questions and exclamations. Kate raised her hand and a strange calm fell over the chamber. "I exist in both realms now," she explained, "both human and Watcher. My consciousness bridges the gap between our species. I have come with knowledge, the physics you need to develop the new drive systems, and a message." She approached the central display terminal. Crystalline patterns flowed from her fingertips into the system. Data appeared, screens filling with equations and diagrams. Dr. Ross gasped as she recognized the advanced physics. "The Watchers have agreed to help us," said Kate. "This is the complete science behind dimensional tunneling rather than tearing. With this, you can develop working prototypes within months, not years." Council. President Clark studied Kate with open suspicion. "Why would they help us after we attacked them?" Kate turned her strange eyes to the president. "The Watchers have existed for billions of years. They have seen countless civilizations rise and fall. Those that adapt survive. Those that refuse, extinction follows. They see potential in humanity, a capacity for growth. They believe we can evolve beyond our destructive patterns. And if we refuse," asked Morgan always. The pragmatist Kate expression grew serious. "One more strike, Admiral, and the galaxy burns. Not from their malice, but from our arrogance." Silence fell over the council chamber as the implications sank in. 3 weeks later, the first prototype ship equipped with the new drive system prepared for its maiden voyage. A small crew of volunteers led by Grace Turner and Dr. Ross would attempt to create a stable tunnel through space without causing dimensional damage. The crystalline formation near Earth had moved closer as if to observe the test. Kate stood on the observation deck with Admiral Morgan watching the preparations. "Will it work?" asked Morgan. Kate nodded. "I have verified the calculations myself. The tunnel will be stable. No damage will occur to either realm." Morgan studied her former officer. "Do you remember who you were, Kate? Are you still human?" Kate smiled, touching the Admiral's hand, her skin cool and slightly crystalline. "I remember everything, Diane. My family, my service, my humanity. But I am more now. I see existence through two perspectives. Both are valuable. Both are real." The prototype ship engines activated, creating a swirling vortex before it. Unlike the violent tears of previous FTL technology, this portal glowed with stable blue light. The ship moved forward, entering the tunnel. Space rippled gently, then settled. The ship was gone, traveling between stars without damage. The watching crystalline formation shifted colors patterns flowing through its structure. Kate nodded as if receiving a message. "They are pleased," she said. "The Council accepts this as evidence of our willingness to change. The Watchers will remain, but as observers, not executioners. They will help us transition to the new technology." Morgan sighed with relief, then turned back to Kate. "Will you stay with us or return to their realm?" Kate looked out at the stars, her expression distant. "I belong to both worlds now, Admiral A, bridge between species. I will help humanity implement the new drive systems, then I must travel to other worlds. Other civilizations, approaching the same technological threshold. We must warn them before they tear the fabric between dimensions, give them the same choice we received." The prototype ship returned just hours later, the tunnel reopening as smoothly as it had formed. Grace stepped onto the observation deck, her face glowing with excitement. "It works," she reported. "We traveled 10 light years in minutes. No turbulence, no tears, just smooth passage, and Admiral, something incredible. The tunnels allow us to reach places our old drives could not, points beyond our previous range." Kate nodded. "The physics of tunneling rather than tearing allows greater efficiency. You will find you can travel further, faster, and safer than before." Morgan addressed the waiting officials. "The test is a success. Humanity has a future among the stars. Begin implementation immediately. All ships are to be retrofitted with priority given to colonial supply vessels." 1 year later, Kate stood on the bridge of the Explorer, the first large vessel equipped with the new drive. Earth behind her, the vast reaches of unexplored space ahead. The crystalline patterns beneath her skin glowed softly as she communicated with the Watchers in their realm. Admiral Morgan joined her, watching as the new crew prepared for departure. "This ship will be mapping systems we could never reach before," she said, "thanks to you. Kate, humanity continues to expand, but now with understanding and respect for the cosmos." Kate smiled. "The Watchers send greetings. They are pleased with our progress. Soon I must leave to continue my work. Other species approach the threshold. Other warnings must be delivered." Morgan placed her hand on Kate's shoulder. "You will always have a place here. Lieutenant A, home to return." To Kate turned to face her mentor and friend. "This is only the beginning. Admiral, the universe is vast, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. The Watchers have existed since the dawn of time. They have seen civilizations rise and fall, cycles of creation and destruction. But they believe humanity has the potential to break that cycle, to become something new, something better." The ship engines hummed as the tunnel formed before them. The crew watched in awe as space opened, revealing paths to distant stars. "A new era begins," said Kate. "The age of understanding, the age of cosmic citizenship." Her form shimmered briefly, showing the crystalline structure that now formed part of her being. Humanity has received its final warning and chosen wisely. The Explorer moved forward, entering the tunnel, traveling between stars without tearing the fabric of reality. Behind them, Earth continued its evolution, adapting to a new understanding of its place in the cosmos. Before them lay endless possibilities. And watching from their crystalline realm, the ancient entities that had nearly been their destroyers now became their guides. "This is not an ending," thought Kate, as the stars rushed past. "This is transformation. And I will be the bridge between worlds for as long as I am needed." The tunnel closed behind the ship, leaving no trace, no tear, only the gentle ripple of space returning to its natural state. And deep within the dimension that overlapped with human space, the Watchers' Council recorded a rare event, a species that had heard the warning and chosen to evolve rather than burn.